performance of the night. We had De Castro and, of course, Israel Adesanya with an incredible win. I'll be happy to take a couple of questions if you got them.
Yeah, the attendance, not to be a downer, it looked there were some empty seats in there tonight. I don't remember seeing those as much in the Rousey Holm fight. Is the 57,000, is that verified?
Yes, it's well. First of all, there were. If you probably remember this, maybe you blocked it out of your mind, but there certainly were some empty seats in the Rousey event. Obviously, big arena, and of course, we couldn't fill every seat, but yes, that's the number we're counting.
Fair enough.
Them all up.
I wanted to ask you about the entrance, just the decision tonight to have Israel, have that entrance that he had. Typically that's not something we see in a UFC event. So I'm curious what kind of discussions were had behind the scenes, concerns for his well-being on the way to the cage, and to come to that decision that, yeah, we're going to let this guy do this.
Yeah, I don't know if there were any concerns for his well-being, but of course, that was specifically approved by Dana. Dana typically does not allow things like that, but he allowed it in this occasion. I thought it was great. I mean, I thought the intro was incredible, and obviously a great event following that incredible intro.
Yeah, and a star-making performance for Israel. I'm curious, as a company, I mean, you take like Conor McGregor, who was an international superstar. Ireland didn't have venues big enough for him, right? So he ends up fighting in the States. I mean, we think of Vegas as the home and where the biggest fights are, Madison Square Garden, that sort of thing in New York. But with Israel and having a venue like this here in Australia, I mean, do you foresee his future being able to hold, additional title fights here in the market versus being forced to fight abroad?
Listen, I think Israel Adesanya can fill stadiums anywhere in the world. I mean, there's no doubt that this guy's going to be a huge star. He's incredibly charismatic. He's got a fighting style that is really, really interesting. And he's got an incredible personality. So I think you're going to see him involved in a lot of big events in Vegas, in Australia. Who knows where else? But a lot of big events for this guy in his future.
I know matchmaking's not your strong suit, but, listen, he's talking about John Jones. Of course, Paulo Costa was there cage side. Have you got any feedback from the matchmakers or from Dana, I should say, about what his next fight would be? Would it be the Paulo Costa fight, or are we thinking outside the box and other possibilities?
I'm not going to step on Dana's toes when it comes to matchmaking, so I think you'll have to ask him. But yeah, I think you're heading in the right direction, certainly. I mean, Costa was obviously here, and that's interesting. But I'm going to leave that one up to Dana and the matchmakers. Thanks.
And last thing from me, Lawrence, I mean, a big event here. Can you tell us about the 2020 plans for this market, the Oceania region? What can we expect to see here?
Well, it's 2020. It's the future, of the UFC. In part, is going to be here in Australia. This is an incredible market for us, pound for pound, one of the best in the world. And we're definitely back in Australia in 2020 and 2021 and 2022, and as far as you want to speculate.
Just to talk a little bit about what John was bringing up, just in terms of New Zealand, Dan Hooker, obviously a big name for quite some time in New Zealand, but do you believe a guy like, obviously Israel's the champion, but do you believe a guy like Dan Hooker could himself potentially headline a fight night card in New Zealand sometime in 2020?
I mean, absolutely. I mean, take a look at Israel Adesanya. I mean, only been in the UFC for a relatively short period of time. He's now a champion, and we're talking about, more stadium shows in the future. Obviously, he just did one, headline one today. So, I mean, the answer is, of course, and great win for Hooker tonight.
Recently, we saw through some of the stuff that came up through the antitrust lawsuit, talking about the UFC's plan and assuring investors that we can keep fighter portion of revenues at 20% or below. I mean, when you compare it to other sports leagues where the split is a lot closer to 50-50, do you think 20% is fair as a percentage of revenue for the fighters?
I'd really love to answer that question, but, unfortunately we're involved in this lawsuit, and, the lawyers who run this case have asked that they be the only ones that comment on it, but got some great answers for you. Unfortunately, not at privy to give them to you right now.
So when the lawsuit's over, we could expect those answers?
When the lawyers say it's cool for me to talk about it, but trust me, I'm eager to talk about it and answer that question. I could spend about 30 minutes explaining to you a lot of things about it, but unfortunately I'm not in a position to do that.
Thank you.
Yeah, hi there. First of all, just confirming that is a UFC world record crowd, correct?
I believe it is, yes.
Yeah, no. What do you think the future is for Robert Whittaker now?
Well, you heard it from him. I mean, he's not going away. He was a great champion, a great representative for Australia, a great representative for the sport and for the UFC. So you heard it from him. He's not going away. I said I'll leave that one up to Dana and the matchmakers, and of course Robert and his team to decide, what are his next moves in the UFC.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lawrence.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
One, two, three, four, five, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The chat on the okay. And would you like a check on the questions? Hey, 1 2 1 2 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. Okay, great.
Still waiting, kind of like all at the same stage.
Do you think we have a few minutes?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That is sounds like we might be a while.
Fucking hell.
Oh, Rob, we heard the sigh and the first couple words there. So, an amazing event, an amazing fight. I mean, this was a special night. Certainly, you did not get the result you wanted, but what are the emotions like for you right now?
Like, it's obviously I'm disappointed, you know, but I took the fight to him. Me and him are two of the best strikers in the world, you know, and it was tit for tat. And then I got caught. It happens, you know. He beat me tonight, but I'm 28. This is my first long loss in the division. You know, trust me when I say I'm not going anywhere. I am fortunate enough that I didn't leave the octagon with any injuries, so I look to get back in there and get back to work.
The opening round, it looked like it was your round until you got caught right at the very end. Can you talk about how the fight was playing out and kind of what was going through your head? Like, hey, this is working. Hey, I can get this guy. What was it?
Yeah, I think I surprised him. I think I surprised him with my striking because I took the fight to him. I wasn't in awe of his striking. I was very confident in my own, and I was having great success with my own. I need to work on that check hook defense. You know, it is what it is, though. We went out there and we put our hearts on, and it happens. You know, when, honest to God, you put two of the best strikers in the world together, that's what happens. Someone's going to get caught. You know, and unfortunately, tonight, it was me.
It sounds like he wants Paulo Costa next. Paulo was there. It sounds like that's the fight to make. Do you feel that that's the right next move, or do you feel like there's potentially a case for a rematch?
Obviously, I'm always down for a rematch. But I'm on the market. I'm here to fight. I'm back to work. I felt great out there. I felt great tonight. I felt great. This is the best I've ever been. Honest to God, this is the best I've ever been. And it just wasn't my night. I got caught, and that's what happens.
And last thing for me, Rob, of course, he's got this undefeated record. He's such a unique fighter. What do you think it's going to take to beat Adesanya, whether it be you or anybody else? I mean, what's it going to take to finally hand that guy his first L?
I'd like to see on another night us go at it again, you know, because I think I can do that. Honest to God, and that's what's so disappointing, I guess, is that I feel that I can beat him. I have the skill sets to beat him, but we clashed heads, and I came off second best. You know, I got caught, and all hats off to him. You know, he's a great striker, and congratulations. But like I said, I'm going nowhere. I'm still one of the best fighters in the world. I've always claimed that title as one of the best in the world. And yeah, you know, I got the title once.
Rob, he probably made you miss a lot, made you miss more than we're used to seeing. How much of that was down to his evasiveness, or was your timing in any way off because of the long break you've had?
No, he's tricky to hit. He's tricky to hit. He's very tall, and he's good at leaning back. He's tricky to hit. Mm-hmm. In saying that, I did hit him. Yeah. I did hit him, and I hurt him in those first rounds. In that first round, but it is what it is. Mm-hmm. You know, he's tricky to hit. I tried to hit him. You know, who knows?
You're probably not thinking too far ahead, but given that there've been such long gaps between your fights the last couple of years, would you like to get back into the octagon fairly quickly?
I didn't plan those long gaps. It's not like I have a calendar and I was like, you know what? I'm going to take from October till December off. Like, it was injury. It's injury and illness that kept me from the octagon. But, you know, thank God I'm not injured. You know, I took the loss, I got clipped, but I'm healthy. I'm good. So I'm just going to go home and see my family. I'm going to get back to training. I'm going to go do my podcast. I'm going to do my GAP program. And I'm coming back. I'm coming back to work in a couple months.
In retrospect, was there anything you could have done differently or would have liked to have done differently?
Not get hit. You know what I mean? No, you know, I think, honestly, I went out there and I displayed my heart and I showed my skill sets. And I just came off second best tonight. You know, that's not to say it'll happen 2 times in a row. When you're fighting at this high caliber, at this level, every fight is on the line. You know, it's a tightrope. That's what a lot of the fans don't realise, that we're walking a tightrope out there, and everybody can beat anybody. And tonight it wasn't my night, but tomorrow might be.
Can you tell us a little bit about the game plan coming in? We noticed you early on, looked like charging in to try to close that distance and dealing with a fighter who is taller and has that long reach. Can you tell us a little bit about what the thinking was and what the strategy was for how to get in there and touch him?
Yeah, you can't hit him on the outside. You know, he's very long, he's very tall. I think with any guy trying to get in on a tall fighter has to close that gap. And I was having a lot of success doing so. I was hitting him. In the first round, I was hitting him. I was hurting him. I was doing work. I was doing damage. You know, I felt really good out there. I felt like I was controlling the fight. And then I just got caught.
Did you give any thought? People wondered beforehand, can you go in there and wrestle Adesanya? And that's one of the things people still wonder about him is can he stand up to somebody who can bring a good wrestling attack? Did you have that as part of the game plan? Like, hey, maybe look for a takedown if it's there?
Definitely. I work my wrestling religiously. I think there's a misconception that if I have good defensive wrestling, I don't have good offensive wrestling. But that's not true. I practice all wrestling. So, you know, it's in my arsenal. I just felt like I didn't need it. Like I said, I was having success with the strikes. And, you know, I was doing well until I wasn't. That's just how it happens. Yeah, I appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
Guys, Dan Hooker is on the way up. He shouldn't be too far behind.
Dan, congratulations on the victory tonight. It was pretty thorough and complete victory for you this evening. I'm curious how the fight played out versus what you were expecting.
Yeah, he's a super tough guy, man. He was taking a lot of really hard shots, but I'm very happy with my performance. You know, it was a very dominant win, 30-26 on one of the judges' scorecards. So can't argue with that. And really, the performance was due to, you know, leading into the fight, people were just saying we're just a couple of tough guys going to go out there and brawl pretty much. And then he set me off. He said he was going to go out there and prove he was the better fighter and the classier fighter and had more skills, and that kind of put a little chip on my shoulder, you know, because I think that I'm one of the most skillful guys out there. So it put a chip on my shoulder, and I didn't want to go out there and just get into a wild brawl. I wanted to go out there and prove that I was the better fighter and the more skillful.
Pretty fantastic night for your team as well, though your buddies took your bonus money from you. But I'm just curious, I mean, what's going on there? I mean, you guys are becoming a powerhouse gym there. I mean, what's the secret to the success right now?
Our coaches, 100%. It's the coaches that you see in the corners, the coaches you see behind the scenes, and the work that they've done. And really, that comes down to the history of combat sport in New Zealand, you know, and the coaches that we've had. You know, we're so secluded, but we've been competing at a very high level and punching above our weight for a very long period of time. So there's a lot of knowledge on those islands down in the corner of the world.
You had a pretty phenomenal call out ready to go afterwards. Unfortunately, Dustin has already taken to Twitter and said, yeah, not interested. I'm interested in fighting Conor. Maybe you can go fight Cowboy in the meantime. So I'm curious, does fighting Cowboy interest you, or do you think you'll keep pursuing this Dustin thing and see if the UFC will put it together?
He's gonna fight who?
He wants to fight Conor, yeah.
If he wants to sit around chasing leprechauns, that's his own problem. If he wants a real fight, that'll take it. He knows where to find me.
Dan, congratulations on the win. Obviously, a lot of support from the Australians and the Kiwis here. With a win like that, are you excited to headline a card in New Zealand next year? What would that mean for you to headline that card?
Yeah, I feel I'm a 5-round fighter, so I wanted to take the full 15 minutes and really showcase that. I felt like if I had another 2 rounds, you know, that I would have stopped them for sure. With another 10 minutes in there, picking them apart, that would have stopped him. I wanted to prove that I'm ready for a 5-round fight. You know, you can't go in there and just blow these top 10, top 5 guys out of the water. You know, top 15, and then these unranked guys, you can go out there and do that. You know, but they're so tough. This skill level so high that you have to match that. So that's what I was there. I was out there tonight to prove that I want a 5-round. I want a main event, 25 minutes, man.
Obviously, Al is a great fighter. I mean, you've had some great wins before, but what do you think this does for you now, beating a classy guy like Al? He's a guy that a guy like Khabib had trouble putting away, and you put on such a dominant performance. What do you think that says about you and where you belong in the division?
Yeah, he is. That's the number 6 ranked guy in the world. He fought for a title fight 2 ago. You know, that's why Dustin was on my hit list. You know, I wanted to follow Khabib's last 2 fights. I wanted to take Ally Quinner, then I wanted to fight Dustin because he fought him last.
Just quickly, there was a video that surfaced on the UFC Twitter page of you guys watching Brad Riddell do his thing in the back, and it looked like a pretty emotional time. It was you, Israel, and the City Kickboxing team. I'm just wondering, what was that like, being in the back watching Brad fight? Did it take any sort of focus away from your fight? I mean, it looked like you guys were jumping around, sort of. It was almost the fight before the fight in a lot of ways.
Yeah. We create energy, you know. A lot of people, you know, they shy away from things, or they don't want teammates on the same card because they don't want it to take away from their energy or drain their energy. But what we have, you know, we had 2 fighters fight last night on a show here in Melbourne, and then the night before that had another fighter fight there, and it just, our coaches, Eugene, just stacked the weekend. You know, keep as busy as possible. This is what we do, man. This is what we do at City Kickboxing. This is what our coaches do. So we wanted to. Energy is created, you know. So that didn't take away from anything. Watching Brad there and getting excited and jumping around, because we're not putting on a show for the cameras. None of this we're putting on a show. That's just how we feel, and that hyped us up for our fights. you know, and I'm sure Israel watching my fight hyped him up for his fight. So energy is created. That's kind of our philosophy there.
Dan, those leg kicks you were chopping with Al really hurt him. You were imposing his will. Was there any point in the fight where you realized that he wasn't going to come and get you and that you had this in the bag?
He was so tough, and he was still very dangerous. You know, the times that I did go in there and attempt to put on a little more pressure, he planted his feet and he let me know that he was still there and he was still in the fight. He definitely let me know that at no point was he really creating opportunities, or at no point did he look for a way out by any means necessary. He was there to fight. You know, even at the end when he was coming forward, he wasn't just wildly coming forward and throwing punches at me, man. He was very calculated with what he did, and he wasn't leaving. He still made sure that he wasn't leaving any openings.
If there's a long line when you guys get back to the city kickboxing gym, months wait for enrollment, do you want to take any of that compensation?
No, I actually have my own gym in Auckland and New Zealand as well, so we got more than enough space for everyone.
What's up, Dan? I just wanted to ask about that call out. It was pretty aggressive. You're not generally that aggressive when you're asking for another fight. Was there anything behind that?
Oh, my post fight's always pretty aggressive. You know, you get hyped up in the moment. There's a lot of adrenaline. I think I have the potential to do that a lot. I think it's just people who haven't kind of figured out how to trigger me yet. I think the guys at the gym kind of know how to trigger me and get me going, so they try to keep away from it. But I'm sure at some stage people are going to figure out how to trigger me, and you'll start seeing a lot more of that.
And you showed tonight that you can actually win on the scorecards. I think that's only your second win by judges' scorecard. Is that sort of a way of you showing, you know, I'm here, this is what I can do, sort of a breakout fight in a way like that?
Yeah, I feel like it did answer a lot of questions in my game with the grappling as well. It answered a lot of questions. You know, Alakun is a very strong wrestler, and he couldn't get me down. He couldn't hold me down, and I feel like I dominated the grappling exchanges in that fight as well. So I feel like it answered a lot of questions.
Dan, you've been around for a long time, especially in the local scene, mate, and I want you to try and tell me the difference between your first walk in MMA and the one that you did today.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. So my first fight, mate, we're going back 2009 when I made my debut, early 2009. At a YMCA in Auckland, you know, for a pro MMA fight, and there was only not too many people there, and cage was falling apart and things, and then to see the growth of the sport is incredible. You know, even going back to my first UFC fight, you know, the amount of attention that was around that, the amount of eyes, and you know, that comes down to Israel. That comes down to his ability to kind of capture that mainstream audience and get people's eyes and attention. So I feel like everyone in the UFC and everyone of us fighters, like, owes him a lot of credit for that.
And in my opinion, mate, that was your best performance to date. What do you think about it?
Yeah, I'll have to go back and watch the film, but I felt very comfortable in there. I felt like I was doing very well, but I'll always find things to work and develop and improve my game for sure.
And Dan, just at the end of the fight, I saw there was a really cool moment between you and your family. You were sort of walking out of the octagon, and your partner and your child were there, and you were in front of a packed capacity stadium. Just talk to us about what that moment was like when you were able to see them for the first time after beating the toughest challenge of your career.
Yeah, so when I was there, at the prep point, I kind of seen her and caught my eye, and I looked and she looked away because she didn't want to distract me, which is good of her. But yeah, that moment will go down because she hasn't been in a fight since the last show in Auckland, which is 2.5 years. I've been fighting on the road, fighting in America. So to come back home and fight in front of a supportive crowd and have my family there meant the world to me, to have her and my baby there. And I'm just thankful that they were cage side, because I told the UFC very early on, you know, if I knock him out, I'm diving out of the crowd, and if you put it up the back, I'm not coming back. So that's why I was very happy that they had a cage side. So if that would have happened, she would have been nice and close, and I could have got my post fight.
All right. Thanks, Dan.
Relax, man. Relax. Huh? That's all right. I like it here. Yeah. Cool. Carry on.
So Israel, congratulations on the big win. Now that you've had a few moments to sort of let it all settle in, how does it feel to be the UFC middleweight champion, undisputed?
I haven't had a shower yet. I haven't had my infamous thought-provoking shower yet. So right now, it's normal. It just feels like, feels like I'm still lucid dreaming. So you might see me do weird things just to see if I'm dreaming. But yeah.
Go ahead with the weird things. I was going to say, with
Knocked
the
over that can before, so that was weird.
yeah, with the title belt, you spoke about how the interim belt didn't really mean anything to you, and you kind of put it away in a box. This one you gave to your parents, Femi and Taiwo. Well, why did you decide to do that, and what was that moment like?
I mean, in Atlanta, because Eugene is the guy that built me up in this game to be the killer that I am, so I presented that to him. They created me, so without them, I wouldn't be possible. So, yeah, the other belt, I put the New Zealand flag on it, so this belt, I'm going to put the Nigerian flag on it.
Just looking at the fight, how do you sort of reflect that on that one? And also, would you say this was one of the easiest fights when you compare some of the other ones you've had here?
Who did I tell? Like, it's probably one of my toughest tests, but I'll make it look easy. Who did I say that to? Yeah, exactly. I told you guys, I'll make it look easy. And, fuck, man, I don't know. Yeah. It's crazy. Like, sometimes I have to pinch myself and just be like, like, that really happened. We just did that. Yeah, it's crazy. Like, you guys see me. Like, you recognize Stars, Submission Radio, from the jump. So you saw me. You knew what my potential was. And I know you're Aussies. I know you guys like Whittaker as well. But I appreciate the love and support throughout the times because you guys still give us a platform.
Appreciate it. Would you say this was your star-breaking moment? That people have sort of compared you to Conor McGregor and things like that with the entrance and obviously in the stadium?
No one is doing anything like I'm doing. This is a 60,000-seat arena. People, after seeing that entrance, I bet you the green-eyed monsters were like, I fucking hope this guy loses. I fucking hope. I'm sure some of you in here as well. Oh, this asshole, look at him, thinks he's a fucking man. I hope he loses. I hope he gets flatlined. Because that's just that. It's ingrained in us. It's this tall puppy syndrome. It's this jealousy that when you see someone shining, you feel like it takes away from your own shine. I'm like, look, I can't dim my shine just because some people feel uncomfortable. Everything went full circle tonight. I danced with some of my day ones, my guys, not even day -5s, guys that I've known from way back. Jay, I used to look up to him, back in Rotorua. Jesse, I taught him how to dance, and now he's just taking it and run with it. And to have them, set the tone for me and just have fun. And like I said, when I'm having fun, I'm the best in the world. So I was having fun. And when I saw him walk out, it was too intense. And you can't fake that shit. You can put your hoodie over your eyes and all you want. I can smell it's pheromones, to start. I can smell it off him. I was like, he's not with it. And he was doing the right moves, but there was no feeling behind it. So I saw everything coming. He hit me a few times, but like I don't like getting hit because not that I'm a bitch or I'm not tough. I am, but it's not smart. But yeah, I just showed you guys I can take it and give it as well, apparently, because I have no knockout power and I got pillow hands. Boo-hoo.
2 more quick ones and then I'll pass the mic on. Just a couple of little things. There was a moment, I don't think it was broadcast, but Robert Whittaker, after you dropped him in between rounds or when the next one was starting, he winked at you. I'm wondering what was going through your mind when you saw that. And also you wrote something.
I looked at him like after the round was about to start. He's looking at the TV. I was like, don't look there, look at me. You got to worry about me right now. That's done. Like, that's what I was trying to say to him. Like, that's a moment past. Because I could have, like, rested my laurels and be like, oh, yeah, I dropped him. I'm going to rush him now. No. He's a beast. If I try and fight dumb and think, like, I'm going to go for the finish now, he could catch me and lay me the fuck out. So I was like, nah, don't focus on that. Focus on me. I'm your problem right now. Don't be looking at the TV. What dropped me? Like, I don't know. Yeah.
What did you write in your book when Bruce Buffer was introducing you?
When you talk about anime, you ever heard about an anime called Death Note? Anyone? Hands up? Yeah, so he's the Grim Reaper, right? I have a Shinigami with me, and I just had to write his name because I knew. I was like, he's not going to last. I just wrote his name in a Death Note, and those who knows the rules of the Death Note, they know there's a certain time frame that after your name's written in the Death Note, the Shinigami will get you. So, yeah, it is what it is, and it happened as it's supposed to be.
Just last one. Obviously, you had that moment with Paul Acosta afterwards.
Oh, my bitch.
Yeah, is he definitely the next? Because you've talked about John Jones, Miocic, and when could we see that fight potentially?
I don't know. I have my people call their people. Right now, I'm Hollywood now, Esther. I'm Hollywood. Right now, I just nothing set in stone. I'm just feeling it. But I like that fight because the casuals, they're dumb. They see a beefed up beefcake like that and think, oh, that's the guy. I'm still all hype, by the way. I'm still all hype. Don't worry. I'm just the hype train. Yeah, so they'll see that and think that's the guy. That's the guy. They just want to see me lose, but they're gonna be waiting for a long time.
Israel, I want to ask you about the motivation for that entrance. I mean, as you said, you know, it's going to bring on haters. There's no question about it. It's also giving you something else to think about and worry about other than, you know, a championship fight.
I told you, I'm a dancer. I'm an entertainer. Like, I don't have to worry about it. We came up with that on Wednesday. I tried to do it at the Silver fight in February, and the UFC were like, no, we can't have that. I was like, oh, fuck you then. And then this fight, this is my show. I'm headlining this bitch. So I was like, no, I'm going to do it my way or no way. Like, who else on this kind of stage is going to do that before they go and whoop some ass, you know? It's no one, I think James Tehuno is the only one that's ever done it from what I can remember with the Men in Black intro, and Anderson Silva did it in Pride with his Michael Jackson shit. But, like, this is, I showed you guys, if I could sing, trust me, Justin Bieber wouldn't even have a job. But, you know, you don't want to hear me sing. But yeah, like you got to realize this is the spectacle, man. This is a big stadium. I had to give them a show and set the tone. And there's no one like me, like no one.
As the fight was unfolding, talk about, you know, what you were seeing and what you thought. I mean, he was very aggressive coming after you, but it seemed like you were evading him pretty well. I mean, how was the fight unfolding, and what were you thinking?
I knew he was gonna start fast, and I knew he falls over himself a lot, you know. And what makes him great, like my coach said, what makes him great makes him really vulnerable and susceptible to a lot of things. And there was a few shots I almost caught him with. There was one time he threw the oblique kick for like maybe the third time, and I used my counter that me and Carl Van Roon drilled like multiple times. It didn't hurt me, by the way. It looked like he hit me, but what I was doing is just bending my knee, not triple C, just like bringing it in so I can, like, you know, when someone tries to attack you, you take it away. So yeah, it didn't hurt me. My knee's fine. But yeah, I knew he was going to start fast, and I just had to take my time and slow cook him.
The end of round one, I think it was a little bit confusing for some people because it was so loud we couldn't really hear a bell or a horn or anything. Did you know what was happening then in round one? Did you think the fight was over?
I thought it was over for a split second, but then I kind of, I don't know if I heard, I think I heard the clapper, so I was like, okay, maybe it's ended the round. But because when the referee jumped in, I thought it was over because I saw his eyes slow, like I saw it happen, and I was like, oh shit. But next time I'm not going to do that. I held my fist up, but that's stupid. I should have punched him till the referee actually jumped on him. But yeah, I guess the ref saved him in that one. But maybe it was the end of the round. I don't know. I have to watch the tape again and properly assess it. As for round two, yeah, like I said, he was looking at the screen, and I was like, no, you got to worry about me.
And as you were celebrating, it looked like you scaled the fence. I know you said your options are open right now, but it looked like you had a message for Paulo Costa. What was said there, and why take that moment to address him? I mean, rather than just enjoy it yourself.
And I enjoyed it myself. I definitely enjoyed it. But, you know, it sells the next fight. It sells the next fight a little bit. But at the same time, he's a bitch, and he's my bitch, and I want to make him my bitch, so that's why I did what I did.
You talked before this fight about envisioning it, seeing it before it happens, and then when it happens, it's like a memory. Is this what you saw?
Deja vu. You can, those who were in here setting up last night or yesterday evening, I came here with my crew, and we rehearsed the entrance, and I did it probably about 4 times or 5 times, and I did the whole walkout, and I visualized everything, and I did the whole prep point thing, and I stepped in the cage, and I claimed the space, and I did that about 4 or 5 times, and I also did the win, the victory. Like just visualizing it, and I imagined the whole place lit up with people and loud cheerings and boos and people by the side, what they're saying to you, and just practicing it. And amazingly, when I got to the prep point again before the walkout, it just felt even more deja. There's levels to this shit, man. It just felt like, man, I just did this shit yesterday, which I did. So I was so relaxed. You saw me doing the Carlton when he was coming out. That was a nice song. I like that track. I was relaxed, and I could just see he was too tense. But some people like to be that way when they fight. That's cool. I just like to flow. I like to have fun with it.
A lot of times when you're talking, you seem like you talk in the same language as the fight fans and the fight media, talking about the casuals and Triple C bending the knee and stuff like that.
I'm just a fan at the end of the day. I'm just a fan. I've said this. I can rattle off some shit from back in the day, but I'm just a fan. I just don't. I've never, ever since they fucked me up on EA Sports and made my body like Chad Mendes, I've never touched that game. I've never. You need to get me in the studio, do the proper scan, get my proper question mark kicks and everything. So I don't fuck with that game. All I do is play it in real life. Yeah, but I'm just a fan. I'm just a casual fanny troll.
It seems like a lot of fighters, they seem to prefer to stay away. Like they don't want to be reading all the websites or looking at all the memes on Instagram. And you seem like the exact opposite. I mean, do you think that there's a reason for that?
It's only because it's fight week. You got a lot of time on fight week, so I'm just. It's fun, and that's what makes my thing on Instagram. What do you call it? My engagement on Instagram. Like I think the average athlete is 2%. Mine's like 8 or 9%, and it's just fun. I gotta, excuse me. I gotta pass the time somehow, so I just go back, not back and forth in a bad way, but sometimes I just talk to people online and even just casually. I like memes. You know, fuck, they're funny. Some of the meme pages are funny. Oh, it always happens. Yeah, I'm just a fan, man.
Lastly for me, Rob was here earlier and he was saying, you know, hey, I felt like I was doing well right up until I wasn't, and that we play a game of, you know, like a tightrope walk here where it could happen to either guy. Did you feel like that? Like there were times where maybe he was close to catching you and you caught him instead?
He grazed my lip once. He whizzed past a few times, but I always established my distance. So I never felt in danger. And I said, leading up to this fight, fear is not real. Danger is real, and I'm a dangerous man. I was the danger. Yeah.
Yesterday, after the weigh-ins, we spoke to your family, and they spoke about how proud they are of you. And the moment when you got up on the scale, we saw you got almost a little bit emotional when you saw them there. And your mum was talking about how she wanted you to become an accountant, how obviously it's a family of professionals, but how much they've backed you going through this career. What does it mean to now be the champ? I know they're here in the room right now, and you sort of handed him that belt in the octagon. Sort of talk us through how that felt for you, being able to do that.
It was just cool. Like, I've done it before in Atlanta with Eugene, so to prostrate, you know, and hand them the belt, like, just to present it to them. It's like my two creators. Eugene created this beast, and they created this human. So, yeah.
Just speaking of Eugene, I mean, just quickly, he's a guy that doesn't get as much credit as I believe he deserves. He had a big night tonight and a big weekend altogether.
Three-peat. I told them, man, we did it in February. Me, Kai, and Shane, we did the three-peat. We repeat the three-peat tonight.
What does he mean to you?
You trying to make me cry?
I don't want you to cry, but I just want to...
He means a lot to me. I'll take a bullet for that man.
And just finally, I mean, how good does it feel to see Dan win against Al and Brad win? We saw in the back you were celebrating when Brad won, and everybody was jumping around from the team.
Never mind.
How did that feel to see that?
Yeah, Brad's fight, you know, trust me, this is his first UFC fight. It's not as, you kind of have to adjust sometimes. Different folks, different strokes, but he showed you his mana. He showed you, like, he's from Christchurch in New Zealand, and with the earthquake, you know, see how they rebuild. They're strong people. Quake City's his name. That man don't fold. That man loves a fist fight. Dan, fucking Dan. Yeah. Dan's just a superstar in the making, and I'm glad he did what he did tonight on this stage. And I didn't hear his post-fight speech, but I heard 2020 at the end, but I heard it's Dustin Poirier, so I'm looking forward to that. I think that should headline Spark Arena in Auckland next year.
Izzy, congratulations on the victory.
Ashmel.
You're in the catbird seat. Paulo Costa came here because he wants to face you next. You said in the octagon you'd face him. You just addressed John Jones. You guys have been beefing on Twitter.
Who?
John Jones.
No, I don't want to talk about him anymore. I'm over him.
The question is, your decision-making for the next fight. Will it come down to legacy
I'm looking at...
or making money?
The division. Nah, it's fuck money. Money will come. I don't chase money. Money chase me. It's about legacy. It's about moments. It's about being an icon, you know? I'll do what I do and the money will flow. I never, ever... Doing this game, I never did it for the money. Trust me, we're going to talk. But I never did it for the money. I'm doing this for legacy. I showed you guys tonight I can do things that no one else has ever done. From the walkout to the fight itself. It was perfect for me and my team. And yeah, I'm not doing this for the money alone. I love the money, don't get me wrong, and the money love me. But legacy, history.
Thank you. Just one quick question. You mentioned in the pre-fight build-up that you were sitting in the nosebleed section watching the Ronda Rousey fight. Here you are now. You've just fought in front of an even larger crowd than that. You're now the unified champion. Did your vision play out exactly as you imagined? Tell us about it.
Yeah, exactly as I imagined. There's always variables in the way and whatnot, but in that cage, even backstage, I was so calm. I was like, why do I feel this calm? Even Dan was so relaxed. You know, I was like, fuck, should I be this relaxed? But I think I just used my energy properly. I used my chakra properly, and I was able to just control it and channel it at the right moment, which was in the cage.
Izzy, after February, your fight in February down here, mate, I asked you about Africa, and I think you can pretty much call your own shot now. So the question is...
Shot caller.
The question is, mate, do you pick Africa or do you pick New Zealand?
What do you mean?
Well, where would you fight next?
Right now?
Yeah,
Oh, definitely New Zealand. Oh, I don't know. I don't know. You're trying to be that guy. First of all, what was I trying to say? For me, the UFC Africa has to take some time. It's not going to be next year. It's going to take some time because even right now, I wouldn't. Honestly, it would have to either be somewhere like Morocco because the leadership and the corruption where I'm from, people will try. It'll be too much, you know. Like there's just too many red tapes to get through. You know, when I went back there, I saw there's so much fucked up shit happening up in the politics and whatnot. I don't want to get too much into it, but yeah. What would I fight next? I don't know. Probably Vegas or New Zealand. I don't know. But I want Dan to headline Auckland, the next Auckland show. And don't do that again. If not, yeah.
Israel, 2.5 years ago, you were competing in kickboxing. You got knocked out by Alex Pereira, and now you're the undisputed middleweight champion of the world with an 18-0 perfect record. If that fight had gone differently, do you think you would be here?
Yes. Yeah, definitely. I mean, it definitely showed me, you know, my character, my fucking hold up, my phone's buzzing. Out of my mind. Go away. It definitely showed me, you know, my grit, my will. Like after that fight, I realized, look, my dog still loves me, my coaches still love me, my parents still love me, you know. The sun will rise again the next day, and so did I. And here I am. I've risen like a phoenix.
Are you the biggest star in the sport right now?
What do you think? It's subjective. I can't say that about myself. It's subjective. You might not like me to think I am, but yeah, if you want to say that, go ahead.
At the Ultimate Media Day, you mentioned that when
Listen to this shit. Hold up. Let's stop now. Carry on.
You mentioned that when you won, there might be an announcement you'd make in the octagon that would blow people's minds. I just wondered what that was.
What was that?
You mentioned at the Ultimate Media Day that if you won, that there might be an announcement you could make in the octagon afterwards that would blow people's minds, and I was just wondering what that was going to be.
I don't remember saying that. I say a lot of things. I say a lot of things.
Hey, Israel. Obviously, you're not a massive fan of Paulo Costa's physique, it seems, but what do
He
you
looks good. He looks beefy, and he looks like a swimsuit model, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. He's a handsome man.
But what do you think of his fighting ability? I mean, as a fighter.
Basic, but that's not a bad thing. Basic is what, you know, my shit is built on. Foundation. I just know how to work off my basics. He doesn't. Everyone he fights is a punching bag that's just waiting there to get hit. And I can't wait. I can't wait till I fight him. I'm not impressed, to be honest. I'm not impressed by your performance. Yeah.
Realistically, when would you like to have that fight?
I'll talk to my coach and we'll talk. But right now I'm fresh. We can go anytime. Yeah, but not in the near future till I talk to my coaches.
It might be a bit hard to say, but would you think he's...
2 seconds, hold up 2 seconds, please. It's my show, I can do what I want. I just have to, my cousin is calling from Nigeria right now.
Say hello from me.
Olumide Sugar, what's happen? It's my guy, wait, why we late? You're on TV now, Joe. You don't know. Shout out Morty for me, okay? What's you? He's a little bit tiddly. Hey, Mark Bay later. Monshi Shegon. I love you. All right, I'll call you later, okay? All right, peace. Olumide Sugar. He's been blowing me up. Wagwan.
Do you think, I don't know, I forgot, Paulo Costa is a tougher challenge for you than Robert Whittaker, or do you think
Fuck no.
Okay.
I just honestly, like I say, like I came from when I was. That's why Anderson Silva really changed my mentality about martial arts. Jackie Chan first did, then Anderson Silva, because I had the idea of, I think it's just something that's been infused through Hollywood, that you got to be this jacked Rambo motherfucker to be a fighter and be a tough guy, because that's what you see in movies. That's what you grow up watching. So everyone still sees that, and it's just embedded in them that they think that's a bad motherfucker. That's the guy. It's like, nah. And look at me, oh, he's so skinny, bro. I'm gonna break his face, bro. I'm gonna break him. You got no power, bro. Well, I don't need power. Everyone has power. I have precision.
Izzy, you know, when I was speaking, sorry, over here.
Hi.
When I was speaking to you in the lead up to this fight, you kind of referenced Demetrius Johnson and Anderson Silva as people that you wanted to be as great as or even surpass. Is that your idea now with that title? You kind of are looking at their run of title defenses and you want to compete with that?
Look, it's harder to stay champ than it is to be champ. This is most people's, like, they've clocked the game. And then you see a lot of people just fall off after this. Then they don't have that because they've done it. They've done what they wanted to do, what they set out to do. I've done one thing that I set out to do, which is become the UFC champion. Now it's about defending that actively, not like fight twice a year. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of people just expect, it's different. I'm going to do what I'm going to do. I'm going to run my own legacy, not like anyone else or compared to anyone else. I'm going to run my own legacy and carve my own way.
Eugene kind of said to us that he wanted to see what would happen to you when you became champion. Would you stay as active? Is that what you're saying? You want to keep up this same activity?
Yeah, I saw that snippet of the interview when he said that. He's like, it depends. There's a quote, it's harder to wake up in the morning when you silk sheets, sorry. Fuck. Stay woke, stay broke. It's up here. Don't ask me for shit. I'm broke. I got no money. All my money's just tied up in investments. So I need to eat. I need to pay bills. So I got to fight again.
You know, you said you weren't impressed by Paulo Costa. Who are you impressed with that's currently active at the moment?
Jared Cannonier. I like that guy. He's a cool dude. I like his style. I like the fact that he came down from heavyweight to light heavyweight, now middleweight. I'm impressed with what he's doing. And he still has like another one fight probably. Well, it depends. Depends who he beats next. Depends who he fights next. 1 or 2 fights. Then I want to see him some, I like challenges like that. Like Robert. Robert's a beast. I've seen Robert on Tough Smashes. I didn't really watch the season, but yeah, was it Tough Smashes? I don't know. Which one did he come up on? Yeah. But it's about taking names, taking out the greats of this game. So when it's all said and done, it's not about like, oh, he won that belt or this. It's like, nah, he beat the fuck out of everyone that they put in front of him.
Just finally, do you expect Rob to be able to fight his way back into a rematch situation?
I told him in the octagon, I said, I'll see you again. Because I remember, first thing I said, look, you're better than, what did I say? I can't remember now. It would probably be on one of the things with the UFC. They'll catch it on camera. But I said, I'm greater than I think I am. Because that was my alarm for the last 12 weeks. When I wake up, it says, UFC 243, be greater than you think you are. And that's because he said, oh, that Israel fella, he's not as good as he thinks he is. So I took that, I was like, you don't know how I think I am. I'm great. Like, you don't know me. So for someone to try and tell me how to be me, I don't know, it's not personal, but I just kind of use that as like a little fuel. So I just told him, like, I'm greater than I think I am, and so are you. It's like, I don't know. And I said, I'll see him again, definitely. Like, he'll definitely work his way up. And he said, probably in 2 fights, I'll see you again.
All right. Thank you, Izzy.
Are we done? Oh, that was fun. Smoke or break?
Get ready. UFC Fight Night is back on Sunday, October 13th. In the main event, former champion Joanna Jędrzejczyk returns to strawweight as she faces the karate hottie Michelle Waterson. Plus, Crone Gracie is back after a bonus-winning debut to take on the veteran Killer Cub Swanson. See UFC Fight Night live. Get ready.